Hey Simonics, what's up? This is Simon back with a tutorial on something we don't really do that often. Today we will rely completely on JavaScript and the web because we will build a QR code scanner which will work completely on a browser, so in your website or inside a progressive web app. And we will do this with one additional package, but no Cordova plugins, no Capacitor, no nothing. Let's do this. I've already started a blank new Ionic app and I installed one package that we will use, which is called JSQR. I think that's like the most simple QR library for JavaScript. It is 1.5k stars, so it's kind of nice. We can install it with npm, what I already did, and we can import it using the ES6 syntax, so that is enough for us. The rest isn't too detailed, but we will make it work, I promise. So let's go back into our app. Let's close this and let's go to our home page first of all. So within our home page, we'll just have to implement a few elements, and of course I will have to change my color to primary up here and call it Ionic QR scanner. And then within the content, as I said, first of all, we need some buttons. So the first button will simply start our scanning process, which will basically bring up a window or the camera preview. And the second one will be used to reset our result just for testing. And this will only be shown once we got a little result. So let's also open our home page and already go ahead and implement what we need. So we need the StartSkin, we need a reset, and that's it. So when we want to start the scanning process, what we need to do is first of all grab a reference to the camera, the webcam or the regular camera, and then display the preview, because you know in QR scanners you of course get a little preview. We will also implement this for just a picture as a little fallback, but for now let's start with one. And to do so, we simply add a video element, which we will also access as a ViewChild to set the source. And we will set this to hidden while scan is not active. We will just switch between this as a little toggle. So go ahead and start with scan active false in the beginning. Now, also, I will give it just a width of 100. You can, of course, style this with a bit of CSS more, but that's really all we need for now. I think maybe we will also, let's just also add a little stop button. So to stop the scanning process, which will only be shown if the scan is active. So that is another one we're gonna have to add right here. Actually, stop scan will simply switch this scan active to false as far as I know. And also we have this scan result, which we can add, which is null in the beginning. And once we click reset, we will also set our scan result back to null. If we also want to show what we actually scanned, you can also add a little card right below or any div or paragraph, just so we can print out the scan result and see what we actually scanned. Now things get a bit more interesting. So first of all, we need a few ViewChilds. Or we will maybe just start with one ViewChild, which is our video. So video element reference, and of course static false. Since I'm still on Angular 8, I think with Angular 9 this will be optional. Also, I will add a video element of the type any, because it's we kind of need to access the video native element quite a few times, and that's actually, I don't like this long syntax. So ng after view init. In here we can simply set our video element to this dot video native element. That's just to keep a reference and to have access to it a bit faster than always using this expression. Perhaps I will also bring another function. So once we scan something, we'll also show a little toast. You might have seen this in the native scanner. So for example, on iOS, if you open the camera and scan something, you will get a little toast at the top. For Android, I'm not 100% sure, but this one will also simply show a QR toast with the scan result, and we attach a little handler to the toast. I think that's possible since a few Ionic versions. And within that handler, again, use no in-app browser or anything like this, just window open and then calling the system browser to open the scan result, which we will after the scan set to this page. Of course, if you have other data, this might not be appropriate for you, but I'm sure you will understand how to change this. So we got basically all the helper functions in place down here, and therefore we can now go ahead with our StartSkin. And within StartSkin, we go ahead first of all by creating a stream that we want to show. And for this, we will access the navigator and within here the media devices, and then call get user media. To this function, you can pass a few constraints. So you only get the front camera, or the back camera, or anything like this. But we will just do it with the most basic stuff. So we want to get user media. We want to get video. So we could just say video true. Or what we can do as well is specify the facing mode, which is in our case environment. That simply means if I have my device, it would be the back camera, which basically shows the environment. The other way is, I don't know if it's front. Can I go into the typings here perhaps? Well, just look it up. It's not really a big issue. So this should create a stream, and actually, as you can see, it's a promise. So let's try and use simply async await in here to make our syntax a bit easier. So that means right now the stream is ready, and therefore we will use our video element and set the source object to our stream. So there we go. Besides that, we need a little change for iOS. So we're gonna set attribute on our video element, place inline true. Otherwise on iOS, I think this would yeah, that's right. It would open in full screen, and we just want it in this little box. So then we go ahead and call this video element play, and this will basically trigger the play operation. So let's see what works right now. We have a StartSkin, and we actually see that it's somehow working. The tab is using your camera or microphone. I hope this is not messing up my other settings. And we also see it here, but we don't really see the result yet. So therefore, let's close this and go back to actually show it. I'm right now actually not 100% sure why it's not yet showing. Scan active. Yeah, maybe because we haven't set scan active. Let's just change it scan active to true, so we can actually see a result after 10 minutes of typing. So start scan, and if I'm lucky, yeah. Now that is great because it's using my web camera, which is hidden right below my camera. Here I am. So I'm using a different camera for recording. Great setup, Simon. But we already see our preview in the browser just using web and JavaScript. So far, so good. So let's change this back to false and get back to work. Because right now we're just creating a stream and we're not really detecting any QR codes in here. And what we need to do in order to do to scan these, we need another scan function. And this scan function will actually be called quite often whenever we redraw the views. So we call request animation frame, and we will pass our scan function to it. So whenever the view is redrawn, we will trigger our scan function. Sorry about that. Yeah, okay, yeah. You just need to pass a function to it, And the problem now is that within that function you won't have access to this, but we can do the good old JavaScript trick calling bind this, and now we can also access this right in here. So great news. Now one line that I will bring in is to check if our video element ready state is actually ready, because it needs to initialize. It might have not enough data in the beginning, so have enough data is the final state in which we can actually access the media stream and work with it. In all the other cases, we simply call our own function once again, so it is triggered over and over again. Also, in the first state, we can check perhaps if we want to. No, I'll just skip the loading. No, I will add the loading. I will add the loading because there's a little delay, and just having a delay without a loading always feels kind of strange to me. So let's just add our loading controller, and then right before we actually start our scanning process, let's do let's save it locally as well. So that should be an HTML ion loading element. And then this start loading equals loading controller create. I will not pass in anything for now. And of course, this is also something we have to await. And then loading present. There we go. Perhaps let's also await this just to make sure it's ready in our request animation scan function. So now we can as well check in here if we currently have a loading. So I just don't want to have the call to the loading controller get top in here, which is again async. So therefore I just kept it in a local variable. So if we got it like this, we will dismiss our loading one time. So this block is really just called once, and if we use await, mark it as async again. And in this case, we can now also set the loading to null, and then finally set our scan active to true. So I was really tinkering with this in which position to set the scan active to true. This is the position that is really just called once because we hide the loading afterwards, and now we're ready to scan. So in order to scan, I will bring in first of all two little calculations. The first thing that we need to change for this as well is to have a little canvas element, because right now we just have a video and we want to capture basically the current frame, show it in the canvas, use the canvas image for processing and checking if there's a QR code, and then basically getting the QR code from the library. And therefore we need an additional canvas element right in our view. So put it somewhere, give it canvas so we can access it. And I will also just set this one to hidden. We don't want to see this, of course, because otherwise we'll have like two streams. So to access the ViewChild canvas, same like before, canvas static false. I will also do it with the canvas element. So go ahead and simply do the same thing we did with the video element before. And then we got easy access to our canvas element, and we can just do things a bit faster. Now, back to the scan function, which is really the heart of our code. First of all, we can now grab the height and width of the video. I'm not super sure if this is needed, but this was something I saw on the JSQR package. Now, once we got this, we want to do two things. The first thing is we want to draw on our canvas context the current video element. Now, the canvas context is of course also not yet defined, but we can get it quite easily right in the beginning. So we don't need any new ViewChild. We just need to put it right here and then also initialize it in the beginning in our ng after view init, and set the canvas context to this dot canvas element get context. So we just have to do it one time. You might have seen this in the drawing tutorial with the canvas, so where we were painting on the canvas. Now we just need to do it one time to get the context, and then we can use it again and again in here. Perhaps I will just do a little lock so you see that this is really called like really often. Now we have a canvas, we draw the image on the canvas, and now we need to process what is on the canvas and pass it to the JSQR library. So therefore, the first thing is to grab the data from the canvas, getting the image data. I think we can't just use the video element. I don't know why these two steps are always necessary. Perhaps in the future, this will work easier as well. But right now we're drawing it, we're getting back the image data. And now this image data can be used to call our JSQR library, which we actually have to import. So this is now the place where we use exactly the import like here. Or actually we're not using it exactly because I don't like these. So import JSQR from JSQR. And now we actually got typings for this, I think. So they're using TypeScript, which is pretty great. And we can now paste our image data .data, the image data .width, and the image data .height. I always spell height wrong. Additionally, you can provide some options in here, which you can also see, I think somewhere here, right? The inversion attempts. Attempt both is the default, don't invert. That's just if the code is like this. This is more or less the standard code, I would say, or you could invert this. Just as an example, you can specify inversion attempts, don't invert. So that makes processing the code, I think, a bit faster. So then I will also log out the code, and I think we're ready for a new try. So where's my camera? Okay, we are ready. Let's start the scan, and you see a scan is happening quite often. Then the code is null. And now let's see if I can lift my camera. This will, of course. Yeah, right. Because we're calling request animation frame only in the else case, and we're now running in this case, we of course need to trigger it in here as well. So if we got a code, we will somehow break this, and otherwise we will just continue. This also depends on you. If you just want to recognize a massive amount of codes, then of course it doesn't really make sense to stop it. But otherwise, if our scan active is still set, we will once again request the animation frame and call our scan. So I just noticed that when I flip the web camera, it will somehow mess up other things, but let's hope. I think, yeah, whatever. So it's doing the scanning already. Let's try. And there we go. The code was recognized, the binary data and the data in here. So we had this QR scanner now in place, and we can do whatever we want with the code. So in my case, I will set scan active to false. I will set the scan result to result.data or code.data, and then I will trigger the show QR toast right in here. So that's everything for this function. Actually really not sure. I can't really imagine how it will look in the video when I flip this camera up. I hope it's not too confusing for you. So there we go, code was scanned. Do you want to open Ionic Academy? And boom, there we go. QR code was scanned. The text in here is actually not really, the text shouldn't be video. I don't know why this is video. Who said video? This should be scan result. Anyway, so you have seen that we can scan directly in the browser now. We got the code from this one. And now to the little problematic aspect of this. We can build this into a progressive web application. It will work great on Android. I actually think I got this somewhere here on my device. And also it will work great within the iOS browser. So I don't know, here's the application, and we can basically start the scan. So I just have to kind of scan myself now, which is a bit strange, but I hope you're able to see this. So it will definitely scan on a device, and this was a progressive web app on Android working great. On iOS, as I said, only working in Safari, but not working inside a progressive web app, because a progressive web app on iOS is not a safe context for calling the camera, and you will receive an error exactly at the line navigator media is get user media. This line is not implemented in there, not allowed, whatever. And therefore you need a fallback if you want to use this scanner on iOS inside a progressive web app. So what I did and what I can offer you as a little solution is, first of all, to inject into your constructor, and let me check our time. Yeah, we're 20 minutes, going to be a long tutorial. I will do this a bit quicker now. So you can inject the platform, first of all, to check if you're actually in the standalone mode in iOS. I haven't added the progressive web app package from Angular right now, but you can easily do this and deploy it to Firebase. You can check it all out in the link below the video. So then you can see if you're a progressive web app on iOS in here, and in that case you might have to simply disable the scan button. Additionally, what you can do is simply add another input element, and this is kind of big, and this is a file input accepting images captured from the camera, which will on a device trigger the camera, and it will be hidden because I don't really like how a file input looks. So in that case you can have another capture image function. Let's do this real quickly. So it doesn't really matter. Perhaps we just do it at the top so we don't have to scroll too much. So we had the capture image and we had the handle file. As well, we need a ViewChild. Once again, this time the ViewChild is our file input. So the third ViewChild in here, and then we can, within capture image, simply trigger our file input native element click. So that's a really super simple trick to hide the file input and then trigger it. So this will trigger it, as you can see. There we go. Besides that, let me get our handle file function. So in here we get a little list of files. That's just the regular implementation of the file input. And then we can do almost the same like we did with the image. So this time we just grab the one image. So this happens on load. Let me hide this for now. And then we set the source to the create object URL with the file. And then once this image is loaded, we can draw it on our canvas just like we did before. We can call the JSQR again with the image data from our canvas element and then perform the completely same steps. So let me show you how it works now in a browser. There we go, reload. And there we go, the same image. So I picked exactly this image with the capture image and it works completely the same. So we're using the same mechanism, printing on the canvas, grabbing the data from the canvas, feeding it to JSQR, and then getting the result. But in this case, of course, only once. If you want to also check out my progressive web app, I've hosted it on Firebase. So right here is our app. You can use it completely the same. It will ask for your camera, and you can also try it on your devices and install it as a progressive web app. No nice icon, but I hope you can live with that. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial on simply using the browser functionalities with JavaScript and the web API. And if you want to see more on this topic without any Cordova capacitor and perhaps also focused on progressive web app, just let me know. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and stay subscribed so you get notified about all the new tutorials, quick wins, and other app development and web development videos on this channel. If you want to learn more about Ionic with in-depth courses, a community of like-minded developers so you can learn and build your apps faster, you should definitely check out the Ionic Academy, which is my code school to help you with everything Ionic, with a huge library of courses, material, and a supportive Slack channel so we can get your app out. I hope you enjoyed this video. I will see you inside the next video. Have a great day and happy coding, Simon.